Z said, Mom's gonna cry, Mom's gonna cry. And then his sister said, no, Daddy's gonna cry. And Mom's gonna knock your socks off.
I have 8th grade graduation next week. I'm freaking dying.
Middle school's over, that's when the parents celebrate.
Yeah.
It's not really high school,
Yeah.
not high school or college, it's middle school.
What?
It's not high school or college, it's middle school when
Yeah.
you celebrate.
Oh my God, I survived.
Those are tough years.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. Let's look at the minutes, which I got the wrong order. Anything you want to add to the minutes? Anything you want to say, Steve?
No.
I'll move to accept the minutes as published.
Second.
Thank you. Sorry, let's signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Financial reports.
We have our balance sheet and profit and loss. Let's see, we have, our bank balance is a little better than it has been. Let's say about the balance sheet. The profit and loss, we have year to date, and then the individual months, which is kind of hard to read, but we're at the end of our fiscal year next month. I should say, we did get approved for an additional Dyson Foundation grant. That we'll get our first, it's 2 years, it's 50,000, we'll get 25,000 in July.
For general operating?
This time it was for general operating, yeah.
That is great.
And so we just allocated this year's 25,000, which also kind of went to operating, but to cover the program costs for Legacy City. And other things. It's just, basic expenses for the month. We've got some land bank initiative phase 2 funding as well. And also ended with a net income in the positive.
Oh,
You guys take developer fees on the projects?
Yeah, so for the buildings that we just sold in our Legacy City, we split our developer. It came from the sales proceeds, and we split that with our co-developer.
That's great.
And the last sale, we did get more than we anticipated because we didn't use as much of the construction interest in our construction loan, so we got more back.
You were under budget?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, technically.
Yeah, $1 million to do a 3-story and you're under budget, you know?
No, we got an additional like 30,000, like it was supposed to be about 60,000 per building, and we got an additional like 30,000.
But I do, I mean, I don't mean to be, I think they're doing well as contractors too, because I think they've got a routine of doing it, and so
Yeah,
we'll at least get more accurate budgets, which I think helps with the time.
yeah.
I don't mean to diminish their role.
No.
Right, consider, the co-development
Yeah.
aspect. I mean, I think now, like with our new, we can talk about Legacy City, it's like, it's a little bit more of a like co-planning process. Anyway, I don't know if there's any specific other questions about the finances.
I don't have anything. Anybody?
I don't either. It's finally in the black, so.
Yeah.
Do you need a motion?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the financials as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you. Signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. Did we get any money out of Hudson Valley Gives?
$400.
Okay, we'll try, I'll be in town next time and I hope,
Yeah.
I'll try to put more effort into it.
It's hard. You have to put a lot into it, I think, to
Yeah,
get anything out of it.
Okay, Legacy Cities,
Yeah, so we're, now that we're finished with the first round, we're looking into doing another round, which I guess this program hasn't been very popular with other, groups, but I think
It's all our money.
part of it is that other land banks or other, it's open to other, entities now as well, like they're doing mostly like single family. And so, in our case, when we're doing 2 and 3 family, like we're getting the 150 or 200,000 per unit. So,
in one building.
and there aren't really
Oh, I
any
see.
other programs that, you can get that much subsidy. So for us, it makes a lot of sense, also given the cost of our renovations. Like when I mentioned to another land bank that's very close to us, that, it was 800,000 a pop or whatever to do these renovations, he was like shocked, so I think,
Or is it city that they do, or are they?
yeah, it's just different construction, single family, wood frame construction, built in the nineteen
It's not a
fifties.
historic district with like beautiful buildings
Yeah.
built in the Gilded Age. It costs a lot to like restore.
So I think because that made me a little apprehensive, like, why isn't anybody else, but I think for us, I don't see any other programs that would offer, 450,000 per project.
The like note is to start a land bank, have your executive director go on to the funding organization. and then-
Yes, those work very well.
Yes.
But I would say the average size is like 3,000 square feet, 3,500,
Or under,
under.
yeah,
These land banks are small.
because we calculated like 312 per dollars per square foot
Oh, okay.
in
that
this
is-
last project.
Yeah, that is high.
Yeah, and that doesn't count some of the abatement that happened
Right,
prior,
right.
So,
Rehab, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
we're in the New York City market. That's-
plus, we can supplement with the land bank initiative funding, which is
What?
additional state funding.
Just a crazy idea, just spitballing. I don't think we have to talk about this now, but if you ever did a rent to own for 5 years, you could leverage historic tax credits. Just saying, just.
Like with us as owner,
Yeah, you would own it and nonprofits can leverage historic tax credits. It's 40% if you were to aggregate like 5 buildings together, that was at least like, 2.5 million in renovation costs. You could
but
bring.
so if we don't pay taxes, how would that work? But it would
You
project it into-
sell the tax credits to a tax credit investor, they stay in the deal for 5 years. At the end of the day, you net about 60 cents on the dollar, so if the, a million in tax credits, you're getting, 4 million, 60, you're getting 2.2,
Mhm.
2.4. And it's more work, it's more complicated, but it would
much
be.
more money theoretically.
Yeah, it's, big bragging rights, Newburgh Land Bank leverages, just saying, but you could bring in a consultant to help deal with all of that.
Right, I mean, we're doing that for the other project that's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just throwing it out there, it would
Yeah.
require a rent to own situation, so that ostensibly you were taking in income during those 5 years that you hold, because that, it has to be an income producing property, but. Throwing it out there, crazy idea, but it just came to me as we're talking about all this.
well, and I wonder if you have rental income anyway, if that also does that count, like the owners having?
They
I guess
can't
it only
own,
would benefit
they'd
us.
have to buy it with an LLC and rent it from themselves.
Oh, okay.
So it gets complicated, easier to keep that within your framework. But there's a firm called Wishnet, that, will help arbitrage the credit for you and do the underwriting and close with the bank. So it just,
Well, that also perhaps makes that co-op model at the end of that more possible to say you're not selling the whole building at the end of it. If you have a larger building and the costs are more manageable, then maybe you could actually make it work out dollar-wise to sell the units.
By no means it's a lot of work, it has to be
Not
like,
for new construction.
yeah, like it would
No,
have,
it'd be for
it would have to be
another-
sized, it'd have to be like 5 buildings at once. And it'd have to be worth it, cause the work involved is,
Right.
you know, but just a crazy
Yeah.
idea.
All right, so well, so far, so now we're just working towards doing another round. The way we just did it, and the kind of which buildings we're doing has been shifting a little bit. We definitely wanna do 140 Chambers, 128 Du Bois. 44 South Miller now is looking like it might be a demo, which is another topic.
This is the pictures, right?
Yeah, well, we can talk about that.
Okay.
Well, I guess we can, yeah. And then we have 11 South Miller, which is one of the buildings we're gonna acquire from the city, and 238 First. And so, you know, I've initiated conversations with CPC to do the, you know, because it's a participatory loan program with the state and CPC. And so I have some preliminary underwriting from them. That was based on 6 buildings, although I think we'll wind up doing 4, which is what we did last time. And we're trying to reduce the ultimate costs by doing stabilization work now with the land bank initiative funding that we have.
This is on Du Bois?
That's 44 South Miller.
Oh, this is a fire?
No, that's not the fire one.
No,
That's
that's not, that's 44 South Miller that had a catastrophic collapse of the roof into the basement.
Just.
And it's gotten worse, like we've had the buildings for a while, and it was already very challenging. Because there was you know, the roof had collapsed, but now with the weather that it has taken on for years, and it's particularly recently, it's gotten even worse.
The brick is going.
Oh, yeah, the walls are not.
There's no
Stable.
interior much, and the roof is collapsed, and then the south wall is really like, has a big belly in it.
Nice. Yeah.
So we had, I can just go into this, we, you know, we had a plan to, do the structural, work needed, but then like if the remaining roof material tested positive for asbestos, non-friable. But because most of the roof is in the basement, then they count everything in the pile as hot.
Friable, yeah.
And so then it was like this whole complicated thing of having to do the structural work together with the asbestos, and we even had Carlos's crew get certified and Allied Trace to be able to do some of the work, and then we just got this the quotes for the asbestos work, and it came in very high. The lowest viable bid was $340,000.
Whoa.
Which is on top of the structural work needed, which is another
Is that because
at
of
least $212,000.
just safety of the site?
Huh?
Agreed?
Yeah.
I do. It's on
Is
the,
Is the quote just, it's the safety of the site?
I didn't print out all of them, it's right here, in this pile right here. Do you know Reed?
I think he is from Newburgh, if
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right. Oh, he
yeah.
is,
He said he lived in the area.
he owned he lived in my house, we
Oh,
owned
okay.
it, and he destroyed it, so.
Okay.
Good to know.
That's a good hint.
Yeah, I don't know, am I allowed to say personal things? But-
Yeah, you
Yes.
can, absolutely, yeah.
That's the third bid you were talking about?
Yeah.
The low one.
The low one,
Yeah, says he's not,
Yeah, I mean, some of the reason for the high bid is the amount of time that, because so the asbestos company would have to be overseeing the general contractor, and so like they're estimating it as a 10-week project. Because we would have to put in C channels and, you know, all the structural work inside and outside, build up to flooring decks, bring down the parapet down to like at least 1 story. And you know, and then go in and clean out the pile, you know, and there's all the asbestos requirements with the containment and special disposal. It's just, there's so many different aspects of it that make it expensive. Also, it's very difficult to access the building.
Right, so no,
Like, there's wires in the front, in the back, it's very awkward in the back, and you can't really bring machinery in there. We would have to get access to, either way, we have to get access to the lot next to it. And there's not any way, like, it's attached on one side that, you know, having to secure the workers
Rubco site backs up to it.
back and adjacent the attached.
Yeah, shows a party wall with
Yeah.
46 South Miller.
46.
And then on the backside is that area that's, was 39 South Miller's, warehouse.
That's, the party wall is my big question, so it's hard.
This is Bowen,
Like
or the
destroying the
Yeah,
neighbor
it's that, the south
to
side.
demo this building. I mean, are we in the same spot as these Lander buildings where they're missing metal and it's holding up what's next?
I mean, we would, yeah, that would, I mean, that's not part of the quote we got for the demo, I don't think, but it would be, we would have to
Sure.
shore
Larger
up that part of the wall.
Yeah.
Is it worth getting a completely separate demo contract just to compare the two?
Well, we got
Oh,
that
you did?
today.
Oh, I'm
and-
sorry, okay.
Yeah, no, it's okay, I didn't say that yet.
Okay.
I don't know where,
Everyone has it, everyone has in their packet, it's, the last, one of the last.
Oh, that's, I see, okay.
so that just came in today. Beam, which they had the other quote for 340 for the asbestos remediation. This would be 240,000 to demo.
Okay, so one more time, remediation doesn't include structural after that.
Right, or during.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay,
It, because the structural, the quote that we'd gotten about a year and a half ago from Carlos was 212,000.
for structure.
so add.
And that's just, you know,
Yeah,
that's
right, I
just like
understand.
putting
Yeah,
a
yeah,
roof
I
and like
understand.
securing the walls or putting in some flooring.
so much, that doesn't, that structural number, like,
It's too high.
that's crazy town.
It does seem like you could get some steel in there to brace the thing.
It's how to get it in.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very dangerous, like
Sure.
cause there's like basically the whole like roof is being held by this little thread
Yeah,
of metal.
It's the, what is effectively like, what was a drip cap, but
Yep.
there's been several layers of, bituminous roof applied on this.
the drip cap on the corner of the roof.
Yes.
holding the whole thing.
It's like this little
Basically,
strip of
yeah,
metal,
that's what's
I don't
holding
know
it.
where if it's in the
Structural
picture.
asphalt. or-
Is,
I'm thinking about the city club
And
and
no,
then
no one wants to
Yeah,
cut
yeah.
it, no one wants to be the one to cut it.
To what?
the city club, you know, is only
Yeah.
standing because there's the steel cage built inside the thing and it is keeping up those walls. They really
I
couldn't.
think the
support
problem is nobody
themselves.
can work in there until the asbestos abated, but
Right.
nobody can
Yeah,
abate the
right.
asbestos until the structural, so it has to
Right.
be done simultaneously, and so it's resulting in these very exorbitant costs, because
Right.
it's this like
exactly.
ballet of insanity.
And it's like, I feel like, well, the asbestos, it's all wet, like there's no like flying pieces of asbestos because everything is soaking wet, but because of the, you know, the way the law is, we
Yeah.
can't, we have to treat it all as hot material.
I don't know what access looks like is there any safe way to get in there and clear a spot for temp footings?
No one will go in there.
So you could, they propose, what they propose to do before they demolish it is to put fill on 42. So it's more stable, bring in the biggest GLG lift they can get.
Yeah.
And then go up, have our scaffold company take down 2 sections of scaffolding. Leave it up, what else is there as it is? Have someone shore, possibly Carlos, put a steel C-channel along the second story of the building all the way around and the first story.
Mm.
And then push that stuff down, that's remaining at the roof from the lift,
Mhm.
and then have the excavator come in on the side and start clawing things down, pushing it into the pile, and then remove.
But if you hit the wall, then you're.
It's very like
Yeah, they're-
operation, what is that?
You're talking about taking 2 stories down just so you can
It's
scoop
very
everything out.
precarious.
So they don't want to touch the roof except for, they don't wanna remove the rest of the material except for on a lift. They wanna be on a big lift when they do that, and then after that's done, then they're not really worried about. It's like put protection on the AC units and stuff around the surrounding building, and then bring in the excavator and, you know, wet it down and start pushing it into the pile and taking it out.
That's a bad, all bad
It's a lot of
options.
factors
Yeah.
that make it,
We know it's like 20 yards of floor material, that's what Carlos estimates that when you do that renovation, about 20 yards of floor, and we all. 1, 2, 3 floors, yeah,
So 4
basers,
dumpsters,
so
3 dumpsters.
it's a lot of material.
Alright, so sorry, one more time, the lot is owned by whom?
John Waters.
Oh, okay. Cause once you take it down, it's all, I mean, I'll go over the hump if we can replace it with something you know, if there's an ability to replace it with something reasonable.
Mhm.
I just worried like. Demo number plus the showing number plus the rebuild number, it's like.
Well,
Well,
demo is the
that's-
alternative to just.
Demo, right.
Right, cause then it's 340, and then we have that's for like clear lot, they puncture the foundation and put gravel.
Well,
and we're
340
done.
was doing the
Or
control
sorry,
demo.
240, I'm sorry, so 240.
Right,
One more time, 340 is control demo?
right, plus the 200 or more to do, structural
The
work.
structural, so just start today and they do asbestos best practices. We puncture the foundation, gravel on the lot, that's 240,000 for a clean site.
Yeah, although they didn't say gravel, they said they would leave an open,
The basement.
yeah.
We can't do that, so we need a modification to
So
that,
there
but
are
fine,
another
all right,
cost
yeah.
for that, yeah.
$15,000
Yeah.
more, cool, okay, but yes, still, okay. Cause I think if there's a way, especially if we can think of something for a substantial building to fill that whole row, that would be a benefit to that
That's the
lot.
way I was thinking.
Sorry, my daughter's calling and asking.
Yeah, because we get a number for charging the wall from Carlos,
Right, that would be on top, you're right,
Right.
okay,
but.
Um,
It's a better site after that's,
right, with those 2 lots, then it's a better,
it has views, once you're up high enough.
Any of these roofs.
Yes,
It's really
just
amazing,
seasonal views.
seasonal, yeah.
Is there a picture of it?
Unfortunate. Jen was showing me pictures of, from a few years ago, and it started in the northeast corner of the building. That's where the roof started collapsing. At the southwest.
Yeah,
Well, we need to make a decision, right? We wanna go for trying to rehab it, or do we wanna start from scratch?
And we took, we solicited firms that Rudy Lipinski recommended,
That's
they
good,
work with
okay,
the
yeah.
city, and so a lot of people wouldn't even bid the job. Like,
Okay.
we don't wanna bid it, we don't wanna be involved in it.
They brought Taylor in.
oh, and they said.
And
No, no, Bean brought Taylor to look at
I was
it.
like, Jesus Christ,
Bean-
No, I think-
okay.
No, they were like, we
Okay.
can do this
Okay.
demo, but, so,
What about keeping the facade on the south wall and demoing out the back
That's
wall?
interesting.
Like everything else gone, with just pinning
So you
those
come in
two.
from the side,
wait,
Scoop
say again, which
everything
demoing, which walls?
Just the back wall, basically, so you have access to it, is that, I mean, you probably have to take.
Well, the
some of
south
this-
wall is the one that's very compromised, like that's the
so you're
big
rebuilding
belly.
it anyway.
right, so take
Yeah.
out the south, just keep the facade and the north wall, it's that's the party wall.
When you're talking about
It's not even
shoring,
like a wall, the
shoring
party
right
wall is
across.
basically the side of Rough Coast Building, but
right,
yeah.
There's nothing left of.
Well,
this
how
side.
far down were you saying you'd have to come with this, even if you didn't?
9 or 10 feet.
So honestly, that's still a lot of wall there.
Mhm.
I mean,
You leave that, you demo this in the back, and then you have access to the site. You could still, like, if you brought it down to this level, you could have connecting buildings.
yeah, I see what you're saying, so in the city, a lot of times, we keep the facade up and demo everything in the middle and build up right behind this facade.
But, and you should just do a lot of shoring.
Yeah, I mean, you.
I mean, you build a
Whatever.
steel framework behind the thing, and it,
I don't know, I mean,
How much does that cost?
yeah,
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
well, the more you tear down, I mean, the more.
Right, well, so there would be some cost savings here because
Yeah,
they're
and
they're
still-
disposing of ACM, so we have a lot less brick.
Right.
And the lentils, which
Yep.
are heavy too, so I don't know what that cost saving is, but you have a lot more for the stabilization.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where it comes down there.
I just, let's just assume John Waters, because he's in hot water.
Right, yeah,
We'll play ball.
We'll play ball,
We'll give
right.
an access agreement, no questions asked, no questions, because John has buildings finished. And I mean, you could shore across, can't believe I'm arguing this, but it's an old building and we try not to lose him here now, because we lost.
well,
him.
we're not doing the use agreement, we're buying it from him for using land bank initiative funds, because then we own the whole thing, that's. I'm a step forward.
Okay,
I'm a step
okay,
forward, because then we have
alright.
the whole lot, he needs cash.
Yeah.
This is-
Okay, great, I like
This math works better for
She
me,
just
so-
raised me, all right, great.
I thought about that, but
Yeah,
he
he-
did
he
pay a
needs
lot for
cash.
that lot, but
God, really?
like
40.
50,000.
Oh, I paid
That's
40
fine.
for it, yeah.
That's
well,
all right,
We
that's
can get it, we can get it assessed at, or appraised
Mm-hmm.
at 40, and then we'll say that's, so we
That's-
spend 40 on it, because it is reimbursable, I'm not just spending fake money, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we could
okay.
move things around, yeah.
What would be cool is if if you were able to save on, I don't know if it's possible, but you're able to save on a stair core and connect,
Yeah,
and bigger
Yeah.
thinking now, right? And you
Yeah.
come through next door and all of a sudden,
it'd be a really cool project.
be cool.
We get I heard we could get tax credits for it.
I mean.
Yeah,
You could, if you saved the
for
facade and
this-
they were.
You
this-
could get for the
yeah.
left side and
Right.
they'd let you blow through so long as you didn't impact the view from the street and it's all gone anyway.
It's actually a lot
It'd be
easier
a-
than most tax credit projects.
it'd be cool. I think, there's gotta be,
It's probably not the one to cut our teeth on tax
No.
credits, I was
no,
joking,
no,
but.
yeah. But it would be a shame to lose it. I'm sympathetic to the hurdles to save it though. But I wonder if not like to shore across it, it's just, there has to be a way, I'm not trying to imperil anyone's health here, but there has to be a way to do the structural stuff at a reasonable cost to hold the building without triggering this insanity remediation thing, like you're putting a tarp on the base and a net to catch someone, I don't know,
Well,
I don't know,
I was thinking the
Brace
same
it from
thing.
the
Could you,
other
from
property.
the top, start to brace up, and then you're basically working top down, adding structural.
Well, the
bracing?
roof material that's remaining is
Compromised.
asbestos.
Well, you work away from
Oh, up
that.
top,
Yeah.
it's so.
There's not that much, right?
I know, but this has been the whole issue, is that they have to cut away all of this, which is also very,
Asbestos-y.
Yes.
It's hanging on
and
to
drop
that.
that into the pit.
Who hasn't dropped asbestos into a pit before? I mean,
And
Might-
what we
When you're
get
the,
caught-
when you're the
Might-
land bank, I'm sure
Right.
people do this all the time, if you
Might-
just hit that chimney.
My other, there's another thought, which is that if you were to maybe buy the lot next door and do an RFP for it and put it outside the
Someone
bank,
else to do.
and that person could get it done,
I
right?
don't
And
know.
maybe not have to balance as many,
Well,
There's
we have
lower
to say, and you
fruit
have
in
to
this.
save the
sure,
building.
sure, if it's a very low price.
And then
if
John
that
Water
price-
bids on it, is that what
Yeah.
you're suggesting, to
Yeah.
buy it back?
Yeah,
Um,
that may not be feasible. It's a hard one. It would take who would do great with this is, who's the gentleman that does the efficiency stuff on,
oh, he's about to start.
he's,
On,
this,
oh,
yeah,
yeah,
like
right,
he
because
would,
it's
he's-
just sinking money at a problem, yeah.
he's amazing, like he really, what's his name? He's-
Has money.
Michael Robbins.
Yeah,
does.
Michael, no, he's
Yeah.
he's like a sort of savantish,
Oh,
like,
the passive
Passive.
house.
yeah, he's sort of just like this building savant guy.
If that's someone else wants to take it on,
I can't quite imagine that.
That's why we have
Is
it.
it
I mean,
worth,
Rothko didn't want it.
so, I mean, I guess the question is, how
Sure.
quickly do we need to make a decision? Like,
I mean, we
I
could hold off till, you know, and think about it some more.
well, not even just think about it, would it be helpful to have like a preservation, a structural engineer who works for a preservation firm, look at, just stand there and say, is it feasible to save the front facade?
Yeah,
It'll take, we could get someone to come before the next meeting, but if it's actively falling and we need to make a decision now, we should hear that.
Well, just so you have this piece of information, regardless of whatever decision we make, the beam is slammed busy until August 4th. They won't be able, the first day that they can start.
Oh, okay,
So we
okay,
have some
great,
time
okay.
to
Mhm.
vacillate on this subject. We've heard all kinds of ideas, and like, people came up with some pretty good ideas at the walkthrough. But it seems like if we could just kind of solve, I mean, obviously, all the material that's in the pit is the biggest challenge. Other than that, if we could have the walls shored before the rim is
There's
cut.
gotta be a way to
Then-
shore it from the outside
That's-
without getting the.
So that was my, one other
Just-
question, could you
Carlos proposed that.
sandwich I-beams on the outside?
Yeah,
And
C
then,
channels, all three times.
could you open
sides.
up the back wall? Don't demo the whole thing, because again, it's money spending on demoing masonry.
You could put
Just
a,
to get
you
a
could put a
caterpillar
relieving
in.
angle in, take
Right.
out the first floor rear and
And then you still have a lot of wall back there, you're not paying to take that out.
You should
I would
all,
walk, I
we
would
should all
walk
go to
over there. I was
Newburgh
gonna say we
Street and
should,
watch them,
I
and
think,
watch these guys reconstruct that building on Newburgh Street. I know how anything can be possible if you,
which one's that?
which one?
the one that burned for, what's the number, I don't know, they're all in the 40s, yeah, 42, 40, yeah.
I'll walk over there and just look, cause I don't wanna I don't wanna rear backseat drive this.
Yeah, I mean,
Let me
if we
just
go
see it,
up
I'm
on,
curious.
we could take you up on the scaffolding if you'd like, cause it is quite a,
Oh,
you know, we
you've
could
got
have
a
a-
lift or there's scaffolding
you
there
just
now?
go up the stairs on the scaffolding.
Oh, you have it scaffolded on one side?
They have it on all three sides.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's gonna fall on someone.
Okay.
Yeah, just
I mean,
have
it's easy to go up the you know, if you can duck under a 3-foot high bar or something.
I'll just-
Was-
yeah, I'll just
You
take
can
a
do the
peek.
limbo. You
Yeah.
But let us know, we can go with
Okay.
you, yeah.
Carlos's, was his idea to do that, or that was just like, that was a,
Yeah, that's
feasible.
always been his idea all along, was to use, to basically take a steel seat channel.
Yep.
Put it on the north-south, on the northwest and east facades. Use expansion bolts into
Yep.
masonry and then
you never have to go inside.
weld it on the corners.
Right.
And
So why weren't we doing that? I mean, we're doing that
we were
anyway,
gonna have to do that, yeah.
but also on the inside.
Well, not until after,
Maybe
the
Till you
remaining
clear.
roof was
Right.
demoed, and then the parapet wall was rebuilt up to the original height, and then they put the roof deck on, then they were gonna come in, put angled irons on the, at the floor level, where the C joist would sit, and then they were gonna connect from the C channel on the outside to.
To brace inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
But you'd still be plenty strong to work inside with it braced, and the three sides braced. You could open up the back walls, you could get skid steer in there and start moving things out.
Yeah,
Not a,
I don't know,
I mean, there's a basement.
there's a lot of, I mean, even Carlos is very concerned about things. There's a lot of things fall, like,
Falling
there's this
inwards.
whole tower.
It
that-
may
that
maybe the
seems-
mortar's degraded too, and
Yeah.
it's, I would just look, I would just love to see, but it may be that wall, those walls are so pretty. And then, hey, maybe there is a way to just keep that front facade and you do a new building, that would be sweet too. I think at the minimum, everybody's like, the facade, 'cause you're not
There's
seeing.
not much left.
Yeah, okay, I will go look.
yeah.
Otherwise, yes. I mean,
Okay.
you have someone, an
Yeah,
engineer.
we're working with a firm now, they, on a preservation planning project. Which needs to be alliteration, but there was, but they are usually structural, so
Okay,
next time they come around, or next time I'll just call them and ask them to come and take a look and see if they have any thoughts.
That would be
on
great.
I bet,
savable.
Orange County Steel on a whim, like, it's a nonprofit project, like, they could shore this thing, you know? It might be the triangle and the empty lot
Right,
approach
that's,
too.
well, that's why, I mean, even if we get that short term,
Right.
it's still,
It would be
yeah.
safer.
If you were really crazy and you planned it out so that steel shoring matched the steel you needed for the building
Mhm.
that you eventually built, I mean,
That's okay.
that's,
Mhm.
you know, then you could really kind of,
Well, that was the
Maybe
thought with the
justify.
steel, with those channels. that
yeah,
they-
like you know, you brought it there, you braced the building, you reuse it for the building, even though it wouldn't be conventional construction, because you had to spend the money anyway, and, you know, that'd be cool. Just
But
saying.
buying the lot sounds like that's
Yeah, I think
needs to
we-
happen in
yeah.
any event.
He hasn't responded to any of my.
I can reach out.
I just met him
He was
actually,
there last night.
I just met him at a preservation conference thing.
Very nice and very.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
I
we
mean, I
just
met him
need, he needs
before.
cash, so, and we really need this building, I mean, this lot.
Yeah, and that
so-
lot on its own isn't really.
Right. You're right, anyone shoving a building in
Yeah.
a tight space and they need it.
Right, so.
We're gonna table that for a
Yes,
minute.
just, one more time, I don't think that REAP buildings should be. REAP, the
Oh,
third, yes.
okay. So then the other thing is that, for, you know.
Sorry, is it 46, is that the lot I'm asking?
Yes.
Which way does it go? Okay. 46.
I just sent him an email today. So, you know, for our land bank initiative, I shared like the budget, it's printed here. Just so you get an idea of, how we're spending the 2 million. And so I budgeted 1,010,000 for stabilization work. 660,000 was to do stabilization on legacy city projects. So that was a concern with 44 South Miller, like just using that whole amount up in one shot.
Yeah.
And the idea is to reduce what the ultimate cost was gonna be to do legacy city, to do the full scale rehab. Now we want to do, since 44 is kind of on hold and unclear what we're doing, return to 128 Du Bois, which we just did work on, because there is some water penetration issues there, and there's a lot of work we can do on the exterior to waterproof. There's parapet and roof work and pointing, and so just, we have an open permit, and so we can have Carlos continue the work there. We had offered it to Lemley and Wolf, and they kind of declined doing the brick work that's needed on the roof.
Which one, this is 128 Du Bois?
I mean, it was the guys working on the project more so, but, there's some, like, a lot of brick work up at the parapet, in the back particularly. Jeff is working already on, schematic designs.
That's great.
But so we wouldn't do anything that would need ARC approval at the moment, it's just waterproofing basically.
Sure.
And so we can use that budget amount for stabilization for that, we're waiting on price from Carlos.
I saw him staring at it earlier.
Is this,
Oh, yeah.
is this gonna be like, I guess a live-in and then 2 units to rent?
So we're
or what were
looking
you
at
thinking?
3 units, a 3-bedroom owner unit, and then a 2 and a 1.
On the first floor,
The owner on the first floor,
tenants above.
yeah, and there's a huge basement
And a garage.
and a garage.
Generally, owners like to be above.
I
So-
know, but
so
I
they
don't know
don't
whether-
hear,
I know,
I'm
they're-
just
well,
saying,
plus
just
they
saying.
all-
Not me, not me.
Just you.
I want yard access.
You want your,
That is-
okay.
Yeah, I've been told it's all about the yard access.
Okay, alright. That's
Also,
true.
they would have the basement,
True, true,
Um,
true.
That basement is huge.
Yes. Yeah, it'd be a great workshop space or art space, whatever. So
Cool.
since we've already invested a lot in that building, we really need to waterproof it. And then I guess we can also do, once we acquire 11 South Miller, can start looking at that and what is needed within that building. I just saw for the first time with the fire damage, it's pretty intense. But the shell, the masonry is in very good shape, supposedly, according to Jeff and Carla. So that's the plan with
It
that.
also feels better about South Miller that like,
Oh.
it's not just demo.
Right. This great meal post.
I love that post.
So, and then 238, you know, we have this ongoing issue, 238 First, you know, there's been a lot of, activity there that we've been trying to quell, yes.
Even with
People
the
sleep.
dogs.
Finally. We got it
The
straight
window
back.
covering?
Yeah.
Oh, like there are dogs?
No, no.
Yeah.
I only know about cats. No, they're, even with, because people are sleeping under the porch, they've created a whole like shelter under the porch.
Look at these two.
We just recently put up a higher fence
Have you seen that, Jason?
No.
and spent a lot of money
What? Oh, they
cleaning
got
out
cleaned
the
up.
yard, which
Really?
was very disgusting and had a lot of needles and so forth. And so we're now proposing to do like an emergency, just remove the porch for now, document it and everything, but just like an emergency demo, removing that. Because there was, right before we acquired the building, there was a fire under the porch, someone lit a couch on fire. So it really is like a hazardous situation there.
Is fencing the driveway a possibility?
We did, and we just
Yeah,
put
I
up, like, we
seen
went
that.
from a 6 to an 8.
Yeah,
It's a temp fence, but,
you're not climbing over that thing easily though, and everybody I've seen over there, I never caught anybody recently, they didn't look like they could climb a fence.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the appropriate fencing over there,
it wasn't totally closed off until last
Yeah,
night.
okay,
Yeah.
that's.
they just made a mockery out of it. I felt bad for the people living next to it, it started really the spring, I think probably in early spring, and then the cleanup guy said he stopped counting when he got the 300 for the needles.
Wow,
That
seems very.
So any follow-up on the filming company though? Because they told me yesterday that they're basing their film there, so.
Oh, they are.
But I
don't know,
We just
you know,
threw that out there as an
They
option.
didn't reply to my email, so I don't know, I just like,
Oh.
look, I'm like, look, it's a house.
Because
you
they
can check out.
love Lutheran Street.
Oh, they do.
What is this?
Oh, yeah,
Well, yeah,
what's not to love?
so it's the director of Yellowstone, which I very coyly was like, what, I've never heard of that. You know, because otherwise they're like ego, and I'm
Right,
like,
right.
I don't know what you're talking
Well,
about.
this is a big
Yeah.
deal, yeah.
Really.
What's the movie?
So he does all these spin-offs, and now he's on his crime spin-off, not what, we've moved away from the
Not
Western genre, it's
1928.
crime, and it's set in Baltimore. There is one set in New Orleans, but again, this is another spin-off, I don't understand, it's like, do people watch all these? But now it will be a spin-off of the New Orleans one set in Baltimore,
But filmed here.
And
This is a
but
good advantage
filmed,
of
right,
Baltimore.
so filmed.
you can't beat The Wire, so go back
Right.
and Baltimore.
So they love Lutheran Street, and I was just like, I never heard that sentence.
I love that.
It has a lot of potential.
Yeah. So, but I don't know, yeah, I
They
thought,
might not be happy with us removing the porch, you mean?
I don't, it's.
Well,
Or
we gotta
we
move
could
the
get some,
porch to
yeah.
the people.
And it's on, if they do it, what he told me is it would be ongoing, so like August through October. Which would get, only to say, it would get rid of the
Presence there,
stragglers, yeah.
Yeah,
It's worth a follow, I mean, I think the follow-up is just, hey,
Not against
we've
it.
talked about removing the porch, and we're gonna do that unless we hear otherwise from
I
the
know,
first.
they're gonna have to have a-
Okay.
they're gonna
I
have
think
a
that's the
police.
question, because I have no issue with the porch.
Yeah. Police will make some money, you know,
Yeah.
so.
so, all right, well, I could circle back and say, I
Yeah,
heard
literally,
you're
they take
interested in
police
this.
to-
Yeah, they'll have to.
Yeah, we have to make a decision.
They'll already pay the police.
So I'm fine with removing the, temporary removing the porch and securing that, it's.
Yeah, they can
just-
put
They
a
would
porch
have to
back if
come
they
all
need
that
it.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so then, you wanna go to the
Vander?
Orlando Street project?
Yep.
This is the Restore New York project, otherwise known as 72, 76, 78
This,
Lander.
am I being presumptuous?
Yeah, but I don't know if that's the most up to date. Yeah, well,
And is
yeah,
it now including Catherine Street, Campbell?
Campbell, 61
I
Campbell.
don't know this.
So we're calling it Lander and Campbell.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I got your.
I found trouble.
And we do have now completed stabilization plans from a structural engineer. And, you know, working with Diana as well on the design, we met with them last week. We we got the asbestos and lead testing back, and they're filled with asbestos,
Of course
the
there.
plaster.
The plaster,
So we have a kind of a similar situation, the walls, yeah,
the paint in the wall, on the walls.
yeah.
Yeah,
Or
not the plaster itself.
Plaster.
The plaster itself,
Unless they reskin.
no,
Right.
the
I've
paint,
never-
the paint
I've
on the
never-
plaster.
They're gonna make a asbestos plaster product.
Well, they
Plastic.
might have in the fifties.
The paint on the
Well,
plaster.
I've seen it
for
all,
sure.
that would be super new, but sure, something
But
on the walls.
asbestos isn't in the paint, lead's in the
Right.
I
paint.
thought it was the plaster.
We'll look at the.
You're right,
survey.
you're right.
You could add asbestos fiber to make it stronger.
I
Yeah.
guess, okay.
And be more fireproof.
Well, okay.
So we have 350,000 budgeted for stabilization in the 3 buildings, which is not gonna be enough, because 76 is a kind of a similar situation, 44 South
That's the one on
Miller.
the corner.
Yeah,
Quarter of a roof,
and,
Yeah.
but the floors haven't caved yet.
right,
That's true. No, they,
I mean, it's
Yeah.
not the
they
basement
could
yet.
be, they could be abated without.
Right.
Any.
I mean,
significant
we
structural-
all went in there, probably not the best idea, but,
Yeah, Quest thinks that they could be abated without any
That's great.
structural work.
Oh,
And
okay.
maybe simple, like anything that they need, any shorting needs
maybe
to
some
happen,
temporary
could be
shoring.
done by.
That's
Okay,
great.
that's, so that's, yeah, that's much better. Okay.
So, we're gonna do an RFP for that work, and I think we'll do it kind of in chunks to, because we likely won't be able to do all of it. So we'll put out an RFP, and Diana's actually drafting that for us. So we'll, have that ready soon to release. And I did get like a preliminary budget from CPC on that for the small building PLP program. And it kind of pencils out.
Great.
That corner building, I did more digging, and it doesn't, I mean, Berg is just telling me what the story is, but it doesn't seem like anything has happened. Like, it seems.
Oh,
So
next to
74,
it, yeah.
Right,
I didn't get a response.
no, okay, that's,
Yeah.
Was that, was that
Maybe
it?
if you
That was
haven't-
SHG at
they
the end?
sold.
Oh, they sold it
Yeah.
to someone.
Yeah.
Oh, they did,
Unfortunately.
uh,
That's fine. It-
recently, like just now?
No, this is
Oh.
probably a year ago now.
Oh, okay.
But I'll ask Berg again what he knows about it, because
Let me know, because the city's very eager to take properties at this point, so that,
I mean, it's just sitting,
yes.
it's really,
We can
It'd be a
just,
shame to
we can
have
at
all
least
of
start
this.
the thing is, we start the abandonment proceeding, and if they show up, great.
Yeah.
Then at least they've shown up, we found them,
Yeah.
if not, we add it to the list, I don't know.
It would be-
Right.
That would make it an easier and better project.
Mhm.
great.
And yeah, so we're moving ahead with that, doing, drafting the RFIs, to submit to the city. Yeah, that's it for that for now. 143 Washington, they are, sorry, I'm just.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
please.
They are working towards a closing again, they've worked out numbers with now they're working with Baxter as their GC. And they're trying to work towards a closing this summer.
Is it Baxter needs to get them numbers, or?
No,
what are they-
supposedly they have that worked out. Although it always seems to kind of slip back into, we need more numbers, but, they said they've gone back to CPC to redo the underwriting,
Gotcha, okay.
so,
Can CPC say, is that true?
Yeah, and
I can
maybe,
confirm,
yeah, it may,
yeah.
that may, for this property, that
Yeah.
might be worth the.
So 146 South is the reverter action, they had offered a settlement with us if we would give them another year, and I declined. Because they've not made a
Good
good
choice.
faith, they've not made a good faith effort, it's unclear if they have a current building permit,
I can find out.
um.
They at least got stop work order.
Yeah.
Cause I don't think anyone was clear if they did, but they were at least outside of the scope of the one that they might have had.
Well, there
That
was
makes
one
sense.
that had a 2024 date on it, but
Right,
it was like
It wasn't
blocked.
for replacing windows with vinyl.
Right, they didn't have any ARC, that's what I said, they didn't go to the ARC, they put in, materials they're not supposed to use, blah, blah, blah. So there, our attorney's moving ahead with the motion, I think he might have requested an affidavit from, not from you, a different one, that was in. They're putting together affidavits for, to put the motion in to get the buildings back, the building. So that's that.
Would that be a Legacy Cities project, a standalone, or what?
That could be one of the buildings in this round. If we get it back in time.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to 136 Lander. Property acquisition. So, I discussed last month, we had the resolutions from the city council, we passed a resolution last month here to acquire the 13 properties. Since then, I went and looked at the buildings, and with I put it, this is the acquisitions 2025 in green are all the properties. The ones to the left are the ones that are for $1, and the ones to the right are the amounts listed.
Mm.
So, and I brought Carlos with us and Jeff, the architect. And everything was fine except for 231 First.
Yeah.
Which is a single family stick frame. And, we went into the basement and there was a giant crack in the facade, in the base, in the foundation.
No, those are the ones you were just looking at. Were those worked on and then stopped? Or they just boarded up?
What do you mean they?
The two that are side by side, or is it?
Oh, no, that's owned by that's David Ford, owns the two next to 238, 231 is across the street.
Ah, sorry.
It's that little
It's
house.
that one, gotcha.
It's a little house with a garage and it's a weird lot, like it's a very shallow lot, that's just the depth of the building.
Right.
Um,
Wow, the garage makes it. Maybe, I mean, could you,
right,
with the garage gone and this porch
Yeah.
gone?
I don't know, I mean, folks were saying it was, not really worth it. The amount of money that would have to be spent
Mm.
and, at the acquisition cost, I don't know, I just question whether we should move ahead with that one. There was a neighbor, a building owner, the adjacent, or one of the adjacent, properties, the owner came by and is interested in
But he's-
purchasing it.
We don't, he's a slumlord, we're not gonna sell to him, if
Oh,
Landing wants you, fine, but the city's not gonna sell.
Okay,
No,
I wasn't
we don't get
sure.
that kind of reputation.
The one who wants a lot that backs up to it,
I think so,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I forget his name, but
Oh, yeah.
it's one of those.
I don't think, yeah, I mean, I think,
Palamucci,
yeah,
Michael
that's his name,
Palamucci.
that's his name.
No, we cannot.
So I don't know, I mean, we could,
Well, does the side lot, like, is there a feasible way that
Without,
Jeff could see that building could get bigger than it is, like with the garage gone,
I think they were saying if you demo the whole
the
thing,
whole thing?
then you could use that.
there is no access to the rear of the house
Right.
unless you get rid of the garage.
Right, I think, I mean,
Okay,
that
you're
should all
gonna
go
use
away,
it, yeah.
yeah. I'm just,
If some not so sympathetic to saving.
I agree, but I also think like, yeah. It might not
Oh, you're saying.
go
this-
over entirely well,
Sure,
is my guess.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, my interest in the property was just addressing that area in general and we
Yeah,
have
no,
238
it's an
and,
important stretch,
Make a little park.
and no more.
I don't know. It's gonna be a tough park over there. I mean,
Sure.
kids need a park, people need parks, but
Foundation's cracked,
yeah,
like it's fieldstone or,
and yeah,
and it's just
there's a big
caving in?
crack.
So what about like, this is another one where like the facade stays and turns into something bigger.
Wood.
I think
facade
that was the
stays.
idea that like that
Yeah.
by the time you start working on it, it was like, nah, it's
There's
so
not much to
expensive to even, yeah, and there's not much left.
Well,
What if the city lowered their price?
So what we could do is, you could reject it, we could list it competitively, and the land bank could competitively bid lower than we're asking. We're not comfortable with just, this is
Just
the
lower,
scheme where
yeah.
we're
Right.
giving for assessed value
Yeah.
to the land bank, right of first refusal.
Sure.
That's dubious enough that we can't lower the price, but
But if
we
it's like
could list
market
it
it,
competitively, which we
Yeah.
had, it was
Yeah.
listed for a long time.
Oh,
Make an offer?
But, you know, I don't know who else would make an offer and at what level.
well, if it's sat there for a long time.
But I think now that I think
There's
about
no
it, yeah,
windows
there's no
here.
occupant,
you
no one
can
wants
go
to.
up to a third story.
Good point.
oh, you listed it, yeah, because there
Yeah.
was obviously someone recently living there.
That's what occupant.
Sounds like a super duper lot. If it was
Yeah.
just
And stepped on
that,
a crack.
I don't know how deep it
stairs.
is, doesn't.
it's not super deep, but
How deep is it? 20 feet, 30 feet?
The
it's
what?
deeper than 30 feet.
No, it's not much though, maybe.
It's like the,
It might
there.
be 40,
41 by
I know.
32.
Yeah.
It comes out at
41 by
119.
32?
yeah, no, it's small.
That's tiny.
Yeah, but I mean,
Alright, gotta save
I
them
think
all.
That's kind of like the same size lot that
I think
44
that's the
South
right
Miller
idea.
has. It's like a 760 square
If it-
foot or
if it-
800 square foot lot.
if we bid under that ask and it works out, great.
mhm.
If not.
Yeah, so I just need a
Yeah.
formal letter that says
Sounds
we're
like
no
that's
longer
what you're
interested
gonna
in
do.
that property, I can list it.
Okay.
Do you have restrictions on what you would do with it? Cause I can put restrictions in. And that will limit, I'm trying to speak, around.
Yeah.
That would limit who is able to put in offers on it, cause otherwise you're just gonna get some. There are plenty of people in Newburgh who pay $120,000 with no restrictions.
I mean, if somebody else wants to take it on, I have no problem.
Do what?
Remember that
They
tiny
just
little
hold
house
on
that
to
we
them.
looked at the property right before?
Oh.
Literally, that's
Well, the
trash.
restriction
You're looking for someplace to park
That
your
was
money?
literally.
There wouldn't be like a
That
2-year.
was
Sure, but they don't care, they think it's a,
That's,
yeah.
That was a year ago.
I wouldn't.
I'll do it, you know, I wanna be a developer, I took a class, I went to literally, I went to what's it called, the Hudson Valley Hotel, I took a class. I know how to do this, I can get money.
Yeah.
They put in an offer, they show up, we're definitely gonna do it, and, you know, 3
Yeah.
years later, we
We're not
own
doing
it
it.
again, yeah.
Not a very good business move, I guess.
So, more.
Right, so
money
more
comes,
restrictions
we
I
do
can
that.
put in, right, if you know what your end goal would be, I can, you know.
Well, originally
For a
it was
developer-
homeownership, but
Right, well, I
Yeah.
think we can do that for a developer to, and it must be a developer to make it into a homeownership opportunity. That's a restriction that many people will balk at. If you're comfortable with
Oh,
that, I can
sure,
put that in a listing.
That's the only thing we'd be doing.
I mean, it's not really worth it as a rental.
Yeah, so that, right, so then that's
That's
easy,
it.
then, yeah, then that's, again, that will greatly reduce the amount of people who will put money.
Okay.
And if it doesn't come our way, it doesn't, you know, it's, if it's
Yeah,
still
then
too
exactly, then
expensive.
someone else, right.
Well, guess what? That lot is actually bigger than 44 South Miller's lot.
Look at that. How many square feet, did you say?
So the one at 131, 231 is 41 by 32, 42 by 32. So it's 1344 square feet. And the one at 44 South Miller is 22 by 51. It's not as, the other one's a little deeper.
Yeah.
I mean, 44 is a little deeper, but it's 1122 square feet.
My only other hesitation, I'm not speaking as an ARC member, but is being allowed to demo it unless it could be shown that it really is like not savable.
We wouldn't, so Jeremy's very good at what you say you're going to do, or we're gonna have an agreement.
No, I mean, for
For us.
land bank
Yeah.
purposes, if really the only thing that Jeff thinks is viable.
Right.
Like the garage.
He really thinks that that
I think everybody was saying like by the time, like, and I don't know, like it was just like kind of by the time you fix it, it's not really worth it
Because of the high
cost.
asking price.
of
Oh,
doing the
because of the
fixing.
structural.
But I mean, a lot of buildings like that got a third story, like could you theoretically for a lower price, make that wood frame building into a much bigger wood frame building?
And save the look of the.
Yeah.
Of the cast.
Because I really, I've just seen how it's gone recently and demo probably not go over 30 votes for that.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's just interesting because I see like Jeff and Carlos's reaction to buildings that to me look worse.
Mhm.
You know, but maybe because they're
But they're brick.
masonry,
Yeah.
it's a different situation, you know, it's just like, oh, this isn't really worth.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I guess you could save everything for a cost, you know.
Yeah.
That's true.
Um,
But again, if you're only saving the facade,
mhm.
then
Yeah, I don't know.
Are the rest empty lots,
Yeah, the bluer buildings.
the bluer
Yeah.
buildings, okay. Cool.
it's great.
So we're getting a lot of lots, you know, and so then the idea, I think, is after we've kind of gone through some of these other big projects or during, we can look at doing infill development.
Sure,
Uh,
I think that's great.
What's the status of street tree or environmental justice fellows using those lots? Is there?
I don't know what
Oh,
happened with that,
farm
dude,
thing.
like it kind of got
Oh,
sectioned off and then,
Yeah, I don't even know, it just.
like, I don't know who to
Yeah,
call.
Kathy's probably at
Capacity.
capacity.
Well, they were
No,
like,
she
there
kept on
was
asking
this
me what's
idea,
going on.
yeah, to take. There was a question about whether, I don't know.
They
yeah.
wanted to deal with it, the city wanted to deal with it separately.
Well, just
For the
because,
council.
right, the staff was like, can we please not tie up all of these on some weird question we don't even understand? We thought we fully clarified about 2 lots.
I guess my question is, once the land bank takes them, is it possible, like, the city okay with them being used for something else besides empty lots for a while? Cause it's a lot of land to have sit for.
I mean, we've done the artist in vacancy for a year, I think it's
It would be
ultimately,
theoretically
right.
okay.
Well, with the Greater Newburgh Parks, like the idea was on some of them to do like a temporary thing, where we
Right.
have like a license agreement.
Yeah.
There was one that they wanted to do more permanent stuff on, but we could work around
That was
doing
third
that,
and,
yeah, but
it's a great lot.
that had something
Well, I think
more to
that
do
was-
with the
I think that
funding that
was-
they had.
I think that was council's hang up too, is we're
Right.
saying we're never gonna get this built, that's not the role of the land bank, this, that,
Right.
and the other, and
But
I was
there
like,
were
what if we
others-
just take that one off, and they were like, fine, I was like, all right, go, go.
Right, because we did get 109 and it would make sense to have that as part of a single project.
Yep.
But there were a couple lots, like 7, it's not on there, but like 7 Gitney, I think, which is like, or, you know, there were a couple that are like non-buildable lots.
Oh.
So the only really use for them would be to sell them as a side lot or to do something like a lot, yeah. So that was the idea with those, there isn't really,
Right,
we're
so
not
and I
taking
think-
up housing options.
I think if there is a proposal, the city is more than willing to hear the proposal, but it needs to be more specific than, we don't know what we're gonna do, but it's not buildable. I think that's all, for a permanent,
Because they had a whole
non-structural.
write-up about what they would do.
I think that she was talking
yeah.
about like, I mean, it sounded
that
like it
it
was
would be
like
like a tent.
nursery spaces for, which is great, like just to have these things not.
Or combos.
Yeah, well, any of those sort of things that are
Pocket
temporary
bars.
until they're
I
not.
think the temporary was understandable, I think there was a fear that this
Permanent
corner
is
lot
different.
was going to be a permanent what?
Yeah.
And then,
Not developed?
yeah, or just, they didn't there wasn't a drawing, there wasn't a, sure, there was a write-up, I don't think it was very robust, and so,
I assume city wants park dedicated if it's gonna be
Well, or just
Well, I
know what
don't
it
know if
is
I
ahead of
submitted
time.
what there was like a longer thing that they wrote, maybe I didn't give that to the council. But, I mean, if we eliminated that one lot, 126 Third, I think it is.
I think they just wanted at the annual update to say, these are some other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
We took a bunch of lots, there are some other lots that the city owns that are non-buildable. We're thinking of, we've created up, 100 and whatever units of housing, but we're also thinking of like neighborhood beautification, and we have the better, arms to create something like that. Then we set it up so they understand from your mouth what this is, and then we look at, I think it's just that, it was.
And wait until the next, you're saying wait till the next annual.
Or just have, just something where they understand the back, or like how this fits into the land bank. It was just me and Ramona against the world, like, they just didn't see,
Maybe.
they did not get it.
If we started
And-
small instead of saying all lots, like if it's two of them.
I mean, it
say,
was
we're gonna
like 3
fight.
lots or something, it wasn't, or 4 maybe,
That's a lot.
yeah.
I mean, that's a lot to be like this thing we don't understand,
Right.
right? If it was one, here, we're gonna do this thing,
And so,
all right, I don't get it, but yeah, let's try it out. I think it was just where I thought they did buildings.
Yeah, I mean, it actually could be a cool thing to say these are land bank properties, but in the interim, we partner with.
yeah, we can't
whoever it
build on
is.
all of them right
Right,
now,
can't do it all at once, but
Right,
but we plan to.
but if
In the
there are lots
meantime-
that are unbuildable, do we want them as a temporary, then we're just like hanging on to these lots that.
but none of those are unbuildable, right?
No, not those.
Right.
There were other ones, not.
So. It'd be great someday, but I feel like this is,
Pocket bars,
but are we the ones with the new pocket bars?
why not? What is-
All right, well,
let's
maybe
not be
we'll
over
hold off on-
definitional,
I
like,
haven't heard from them
pocket
again
bars,
in a
like,
while.
yeah, it's a land bank, does housing, it also does outdoor space, so cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Then you gotta
definitely been part of what we've done,
administer
but.
Yeah, but it's a land.
But I don't think,
not
it was also
buildable.
clear, so, this is coming back to me. So
Urban
the
forest.
the land has not been soil tested, right? Is it gonna be a park? Are people gonna walk around? Are they being growing vegetables? Like these,
Fence it off,
do
and
we
let
have-
some trees grow.
we do have a
That would be
liability of, under environmental cleanup, like, so what's really happening here?
Urban forest,
But that's an urban forest, again, it was not clear on what was proposed,
No.
but a community garden, problematic, right? We don't, because there were buildings here and we
Sure.
demoed them.
urban,
So if we have a strong scope of what it is, and there's potentially a license agreement for testing or things ahead of time, that's what it is, yeah.
my weird pet issue is like heat island effect, and if you were just to rewild those things and get trees there, what that would do.
I guess I agree with that, except when you look at like the Mount or the hospital and
Yeah.
you look at like, all right,
Trash and.
it's just trash,
Right.
and they don't take care of.
That
You
was
have to have a whole
that
plan.
Carson Avenue lot that Rocco's doing, or
I mean, street
Recap's
trees,
doing
I agree
now.
with you.
Yeah.
Sure, it becomes a homeless camp.
Not even that, it's just like, I don't know, like, street trees seem like a better way to get what you want there.
They have to, yeah, it has to be
Yeah,
stewarded.
sometimes I just don't know why things go off on the rail, but I can tell you, just repeating it again and again will not advance it. In fact, it infuriates them, and then the whole thing's done. So
So
that's
just
what we're just like, no,
start it.
cut them off.
Oh, I just didn't
Let's do it.
understand what,
I do not
Everything,
either, that's what
yeah.
I'm trying to say. I do not either, but just submitting the same thing to them would be a non-starter. I don't know
Right.
what it is that's
So we just say we're scaling it back, and we're
Right.
starting a test pilot.
right on
Right.
any of these, even a mini fort. I don't know what a mini forest is. but-
Urban forest,
Yeah.
just like, I mean, what that does.
Well,
bring heat down
yeah,
is huge.
the congregate.
The congregate thing's always, yeah, it's an issue, I don't know if we can just fence it off.
It sounds like the council likes a lot of specificity, they wanna know.
On something that's
what
new
the-
and
yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Taking a structure and turning it into homeownership opportunity is what they expect. And
Yeah.
so when it veered from that, I think
Sure.
they just got lost. The engineer said one thing and then, testing, and then it was off. the
That
deep
makes,
end.
yeah, because it's just this rabbit hole.
You know, I'm happy to spearhead urban forest, I am passionate about that, I'm not even joking, like heat island, the heat in the summer here, like you break that.
No,
up.
it is, I mean,
It's huge,
the
And if they're
Temperature here
non-buildable
is
and there's a
right.
way to like do something positive with them to that effect. I mean, I think of Brian from.
Nature.
Yeah, like that's like a one nature perfect solve,
Right,
like
exactly.
they know how to fucking, sorry.
Right, and he would know what to test and.
Yeah,
all that.
and like, he'd be
I
like,
think
all
if-
right,
I
this-
think if someone like that was on board and there was
Yeah.
a drawing and there was a thing,
Maybe we could float it to them like, hey, we have these 3 unbuildable lots. Is there a way to rewire these, I'm like throwing these
With baby
buzzwords out.
steps,
What could we do that was non-buildable, that like had a beneficial environmental effect? He's
I
amazing.
think the issue is
He's
who's
really-
gonna take care of the maintenance, which is why.
Maybe he maintenances the
Yeah.
park, maybe there's some low maintenance thing, and if we're spending minimal money to keep these things, it's like a huge positive, I don't know, I don't know.
but
I'm
he
drawn.
would know
He
a
would
lot
know.
about it.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
should
like,
definitely talk to
look,
them, yeah.
and I'm happy to throw you.
But yeah, and I mean, there's so many benefits just in terms of health and air quality, asthma rates and all of that.
Just, it's summer, man, like, it's so.
There's just not enough street trees here too, I mean, that's a big challenge for everybody walking down the street. Summertime.
Yeah, this week will give us a
Tomorrow.
preview.
Okay, that's all I have.
So our meeting is July 16th. Yeah, July 16th. Check the calendars.
I'll be here.
Yay.
I'm good,
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, do
Thank
we
you.
do we close?
Oh, do we have to adjourn?
The meeting's adjourned.
Okay.
But the attorney misses one meeting and it falls.
Go to hell and a
Well, we at least we streamed it, right?
Yeah.